So I've already done your introduction, so we'll get straight into it. So we all have our own journeys with mental health. And ladies, I wanted to chat to you about your own personal experiences when it comes to mental health, especially after having your children. Natalie, coming to you first, what was your experience?
Oh my goodness. So juggling, mum guilt, always feeling guilty about something, whether it's I'm not spending enough time with the children, I'm on my phone too much, or I'm not spending enough time on work, I'm not spending enough time with my husband, leaving myself last. It's constant, isn't it? Just always feeling guilty about something.
Does mum guilt ever leave us? That's what I was thinking. I think no matter what, even if you're popping out for an hour, or say, for example, I went away recently abroad for a friend's wedding. In fact, I've had 2 weddings this September. I feel like I've really taken the pee with my mum and childcare. But yeah, even if I'm popping out for 10 minutes just to run an errand, we experience that mum guilt. And I was just wondering if you think it would, if it ever
For sure.
leaves you.
Well, my kids are 11 and 15 now, and I felt it throughout, parenthood. It hasn't stopped. If anything, perhaps more now because they're more aware that, I have to be on my phone for work. I don't know.
And Anna, coming to you, talking about our experiences when it comes to mental health after having children, what was that like for you?
I mean, it was really different for both girls that I've had so far. I'm pregnant with my third, and it's like a final roll of the dice. Let's see how this one lands postnatally. The first one I had in Amsterdam, and in Holland,
Wow.
they give you a maternity nurse for like 10 days who kind of lives with you to help you with
Stop.
breastfeeding, feeding
Wow.
yourself. Like she'll check out if you've got PND symptoms, she'll flag it to the health system. So you've got somebody who isn't your mother-in-law telling you like, well, in my day, I fed like this. You've got somebody wrapping their arms around you on the equivalent of the NHS, so it's not like private.
That's
And
insane.
obviously you pay more taxes there. And the reason they do that is because it saves the Netherlands less long-term in anxiety meds, depression meds, like postnatal support. If you wrap your arms around a woman in that vulnerable 10 days, you will ultimately save on medication and, a low level, like, I think, not brokenness is the wrong word, because I think motherhood makes us instead of breaks us in many ways. But definitely that birth in Holland was seismically different to my second daughter in the UK, where I had no PND before. I was so like happy, enjoyed motherhood, was so ready for the second, and I was almost like barely stitched up by the time I was wheeled out,
Wow.
24 hours later here. And I think it set me on a path of I'm not supported, I'm not safe, my C-section scar isn't healed, my mind is all over the place, like I'm crying, but there's nobody here to go, this is normal. And I think, when I look at my postnatal journey and how I'm going to tackle this, is that actually, when you talk about the village, you talk about support, is that make sure that you have in those 10 days the right people around you, even if you can't have a Kramzorg in Holland, find your equivalent of that, And for me, this time it is going to be my mum and my mother-in-law and my sister. And there's a roster for 10 days where, I've explicitly said, I just don't need to be talked to. I just need to be held and somebody to take the baby while I wash myself and, like being quite explicit in my needs.
Love that.
And I think we don't, as women, we're not explicit maybe in what we need. It's all about what the baby needs. And so this time round, it's what I need.
That is such a good point. I think we create a birth plan when we're going into labor, but actually it's that post care that is vital to actually say exactly what you need. And you're right. I it's for all of my friends post having babies. It's like, when can I come around and see the baby? And you almost have this flurry of people like coming round and visitors, when actually you just want to just get all cozy indoors with your baby. I actually love the post the post giving birth, because it's the one time that I've felt in my life that I've actually been able to say, like, as an excuse, I can just do nothing and just hibernate and be cozy with my baby. Do you think it's more beneficial to have just like you and your loved ones, and not have, you know, like a revolving door of guests coming through, Anna?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest mistake we all make, isn't it? You know, and I think you can be totally explicit with those you love about what you need, because think about pregnancy. Like right now, I'm getting people standing up, giving me seats on the tube. I'm getting baby showers, and I'm getting presents, and I'm getting people celebrating me as the mother. The second that baby comes out, you're almost like a discarded, like, you know, bag for life. It's sort of like, oh, now it's onto the baby, you know? And I think, like, I felt that, like, you go from being almost the Madonna on a pedestal to this discarded crisp packet is how it feels. And I think you need to be really careful about who you let in
So
those
true.
10 days. Take the Dutch example. Even if you can't, you know, get to that kind of level of support, make sure the people you're letting through that door aren't the people that are going to be expecting you to put a show on for your new baby, you know, the Simba moment and the Lion King. They're actually going to go, well, how's Nala, you know?
Yes.
how's the mother? Here's a lasagna for you, not here's, you know, you in the sleep sheet for her.
Those are the gifts that you want, isn't it? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely.
I had my first son, so it was 15 years ago, and I was so nervous of saying no to people coming to the house. And it was like, I think it was like day 3, some friends of ours turned up, and I was sorry, someone's still.
No, I'm so sorry. That is my doorbell. I'm gonna have to. I'm hoping that that's the last time it's going to ring, but we can't. The amount of deliveries, I'm going to unplug it. Bear with me. Natalie, I'm so sorry. Right, go for it.
Do I need to start again, or do I just carry on?
No, just pick up from where you left off.
Yeah. So I think it was like day 3 after having Noah. We had some friends come over, and I was feeding him, and the friend said, "Can I feed him?" And without checking with me, my husband said, "Yeah, sure." Which is, you know, he didn't know that it was going to upset me. So passed Noah over, and she fed him with a bottle, and I didn't expect the emotions. It really upset me. I don't know what it is. It just really, really upset me watching someone else feed my baby that early on. And then it was after that point, I was like, right, no more guests. No one can come around.
Do you know what? That's so interesting, though, that why we don't have almost the confidence. I mean, I know that others are more boundaried, and they're like, nope, this is what I want, and no guests, no visitors, and I don't want other people to feed my baby. But for me, I would have been the same as you, Natalie. Like, oh yeah, sure. But actually, why can't we be more boundaried? I think it's just the way that I am. I feel like I'm such a weakling. I'm like, yeah, just do whatever you want. Like, no problem.
I just didn't have the confidence to say, do you know, like, no, you can't come round yet. I mean, if it was now, it'd be like Anna said, like, no, leave me alone. I need 10 days minimum.
I think people get it more now. I think people are more coming round to the fact that actually mothers need their time. And I love that, what you said, Anna, about, I mean, wouldn't that be the dream, just to have someone with you for the next 10 days? I mean, I personally had a really positive experience after giving birth with both of my girls. And I had 2 completely... Sunday I gave birth in the hospital, and it all went pretty smoothly. And with Finty, I had a home birth, which I just freaking loved. I feel so relaxed at home. Even now, I'm like, I don't want to go out. We're going out on Saturday night, and I'm like, I want to cancel the plans now, because I just like being cozy indoors. So giving birth at home for me was just a dream. And every care part part of the care post-natally was just perfect, and it was at home. And I think that there's definitely something in that. And I had a really wonderful experience with the community midwives, and I shared it on my social media, and everyone was like, not everywhere in the UK is like that. So I'm sat there thinking maybe I was just one of the lucky ones, or is it, depending on where you live? How was your experiences?
I think there is a lot around geography, and I think we have to be really careful on both sides, which is, to celebrate those moments where it does work out, but to also advocate for the midwives who aren't being supported themselves. Like, a lot of them are mothers, right?
Yeah.
And they're left holding the baby. And then, we are postnatally, I think, struggling kind of as a nation of mothers because we're not getting the care, not even close to what the Dutch system is doing, like not even in the same sphere. It's like, and that's not on the midwife. So, and I think it then feels really, really pointed when there's hordes of mothers going, look, I'm broken by a system that's broken. And actually, I want to wrap my arms around the midwives and go, look, I know you're probably not seeing your babies to help deliver my baby. And I think when we talk about the village and motherhood and being a bit like united, I think we have to see every woman within that process of bringing baby into the world. And I wrote to my midwife afterwards when I'd had a really bad experience. And I said, thank you for holding me and doing the best you could, because she got in touch with me when I'd said I'd had a really bad experience. I said publicly, the opposite to you, Fern. And I wasn't slagging off anyone. And she got in touch with, I'm devastated. I was on call that night, and I was like, no, this isn't on you. This is on like us as women, because actually I had no support from anyone there. I really wasn't, I would think you sometimes come through that period and you're told, maybe both Natalie and Fern, you had the same, you'll go through the baby blues and you're like, wait a second, the baby blues isn't even touching the sides of what is happening right now. So you minimize yourself, you minimize your symptoms. And, it was the baby blues, yellows, reds, greens. It was all over the place. Basically, It was a psychedelic chart of maternal, and I will say the word, breakdown. I think it's okay to say you're going to be cracked open like a nut. And I just want there to be more support for the midwives who are supporting us.
How did you overcome that then, Anna? How did you work through that time where you felt like you was having a breakdown post-baby?
I don't think I have. I think I'm wearing probably still, I'll call them the scars of motherhood. We have that sort of, I have a C-section scar, and it's it almost looks like a sort of barbed wire fence almost. It's so primal and visceral, and it was, quickly stitched up because there's 5,000 other women to stitch up. And I feel that line of motherhood. If you think about, it's not just our postnatal kind of health, it's like the judgment of that line, breast or bottle, C-section or natural birth, or, that moment the baby comes out, you are suddenly in a world of judgment from all corners of the earth, it feels. So I would say I've learned to look at those scars. I couldn't look at them for a long time because they reminded me of so much pain. But I look at those scars as you would almost a tattoo that recognizes what you did and how strong you were, and that the broken fragments that are lying all over the place, you kind of piece them all back together again, and it's messy, but actually you might be so exhausted, but you're sort of stronger. You might be totally broken, but also you've kind of found yourself in it all. It's this total paradox, which I've learned to celebrate instead of commiserate. So I could say honestly, Fern, I'm never going to be through this. And I think a lot of women, there's no finite point, but am I celebrating what happened to me as a woman, as a mother, and that I am coming through it every day? Yes, looking at those two little girls and this one on the way. They are proof that we continue even if we don't come through.
So beautifully put that it's made me really emotional.